Join me as I take on the challenge of working the night shift at a haunted gas station. Let's see if I can survive the night without freaking out. The ocean was restless tonight, its waves clawing at the rocky shore like fingers desperate for purchase. I pulled my truck into the cracked asphalt lot of Tides and Gas and Goods, the only light for miles along this desolate stretch of Oregon's coastal Highway 101. The neon sign, a faded crab clutching a gas pump, flickered, casting an unsteady red glow over the pumps. Beyond the station, the Pacific stretched into infinity, a black expanse that swallowed the horizon. I cut the engine, and the silence was immediate, broken only by the rhythmic crash of waves and the faint hum of the station's lights. I wasn't here for the scenery. The job paid $35 an hour. Cash, no questions asked. For a guy like me, Eli Carver, ex-fisherman with a rap sheet and a sister to support. It was a lifeline. The ad had been vague, posted on a community board in Astoria. Night shift cashier needed. Tides and Gas and Goods. Must be reliable. $35 per hour. Apply in person. No phone number, no email. Just an address and a promise of money I couldn't afford to ignore. My phone buzzed as I grabbed my duffel bag from the passenger seat. A text from Lena, my older sister. "You sure about this job, Eli? Feels off." I typed back quickly, fingers stiff in the damn cold. "It's just a gas station. Easy money. How's treatment going?" Her reply came fast. "Better. Therapy's helping. But this place? Be careful, okay?" I didn't respond. Lena's cancer treatments weren't cheap, and my savings from odd jobs on fishing boats were long gone. This gig was my shot to keep her afloat, and I wasn't about to let her worry talk me out of it. The air smelled of salt and kelp, with an undercurrent of something sharper. Oil, maybe, or something older, like the earth itself was bleeding. The station was a squat, weather-beaten building, its windows streaked with sea spray. A bell chimed as I pushed open the door, the sound swallowed by the hum of fluorescent lights and a crackling AM radio playing old sea shanties. "You, Eli?" A woman emerged from a door behind the counter. She was maybe 60, with steel grey hair braided tightly against her scalp and eyes that seemed to see through me. Her name tag read, "Mora, owner." "Yeah, that's me," I said, offering a hand. Her grip was calloused, strong, like she'd spent her life hauling nets. "Mora Tilden, welcome to Tides End." She gestured around the store. Shelves of canned goods, fishing lures, and instant coffee. A cooler humming in the corner. "Not much, but it's ours. You ever worked nights before?" "Some, mostly on boats." I kept my tone neutral, not mentioning the nights I'd spent in lockup, or the ones I'd rather forget. She nodded, like she'd expected as much. "Night shift's different here. Last 2 cashiers didn't last a week. You look tougher than they were, though." Her eyes lingered on the scar above my eyebrow, a souvenir from a bar fight I hadn't started. "Booth's your station." She pointed to a reinforced glass cubicle by the register, its edges yellowed with age. "Locks at 11 p.m. Transactions go through the slot after that." The booth was a fortress. Bulletproof glass, a metal stool, a fan that looked older than me. A panel of switches controlled the pumps outside, and a grainy monitor showed their flickering outlines. "Training simple," Mora continued. "Authorize pumps from here. Keep the register balanced. Cameras cover the lot and store. Panic buttons under the counter, but don't expect the sheriff to show up quick. They're 45 minutes out in Tillamook." "Got it?" I said, trying to sound confident. "Anything else?" Mora's expression tightened, her voice dropping. "There's rules, Eli, Listen close. She held up 3 fingers. First, don't sell bait, smokes, or energy drinks to anyone with pale eyes. Not blue, not grey. Pale, like sea glass. You'll know 'em when you see 'em. I raised an eyebrow, waiting for the joke. None came. Pale eyes? Okay. Second, if the pumps start dripping something that ain't gas, something dark, thick, lock the doors and play track 4 on that radio. She nodded at the ancient AM set. Its antenna bent like a broken finger. Don't stop it till the dripping does. What's on track 4? I asked, half expecting her to laugh. A prayer. Old Chinook chant. Don't ask why, just do it. Her tone left no room for questions. Third, and this is the big one, never pick up that phone. She pointed to a payphone mounted near the restrooms. Its plastic casing cracked and faded. It don't work. Shouldn't anyway. I glanced at it, skeptical. Looks like it's been dead since the 80s. Should be, Mora said, her voice flat. Any questions? A dozen, but her expression told me to keep them to myself. No, Mom. No bait for pale eyes. Play track 4 for weird leaks. Ignore the phone. I'm good. She studied me, then nodded. I'm back at dawn. Emergency numbers are by the register, but cell service is garbage out here. Don't rely on it. She gave me a quick tour of the stockroom and bathrooms, then paused at the door. One more thing. Between 1 and 3 a.m., things shift. Follow the rules, and you'll be fine. Before I could ask what she meant, she was gone. The bell chiming as her truck's headlights faded into the fog. The first few hours were quiet. I stocked shelves, memorized the pump controls, and tried to ignore the way the ocean's roar seemed to pulse through the walls. By midnight, I'd had 3 customers. A fisherman buying coffee, a tourist grabbing chips, and a silent trucker who paid for gas with exact change. At 1:15 a.m., the bell chimed again. SA man shuffled in, his raincoat dripping despite the clear night. He was tall, gaunt, with a face like driftwood, pale and worn. He grabbed a pack of smokes and approached the booth. "Pump 2, he said, his voice low, like waves over gravel. As I rang him up, I noticed his shadow on the wall behind him. It was wrong. Too long, with jagged edges that didn't match his frame, like something was clinging to him. I blinked, and it was normal again. "That's $12.50, I said, forcing my voice steady. He slid a 20 through the slot, and I caught a whiff of something foul, rotting seaweed and copper. His fingers brushed the glass, leaving a faint smear. I handed back his change, avoiding his gaze. He lingered, staring at the booth, then turned and left without a word. The clock ticked to 1:45 a.m. Mora's warning echoed. Things shift. I shook it off, blaming the unease on exhaustion. I'd been working doubles at the docks before this, sleeping in snatches, just my mind playing tricks. At 2:03 a.m., the bell chimed again. A woman entered, her movements fluid, like she was gliding over the linoleum. Her raincoat was bright yellow, the kind fishermen wore, but it hung oddly, as if it didn't quite fit her frame. She grabbed a pack of bait, frozen shrimp, and approached the booth. "Just this," she said, her voice soft, almost musical. I scanned the bait, then froze. Her eyes were pale, not blue or grey, but a milky, translucent shade, like sea glass catching moonlight. Mora's first rule slammed into me. "Sorry," I said, my throat dry. "Can't sell bait to you, store policy." Her smile was too wide, revealing teeth that gleamed unnaturally. "Don't be difficult, Eli." Her voice was still soft, but my name in her mouth felt like a violation. How did she know it? hadn't worn a name tag. Can't do it, I repeated, my hand inching toward the panic button. She leaned closer, her breath fogging the glass, smelling of salt and decay. You'll regret that, she whispered, then turned and glided out, the bell silent despite the door's swing. My heart pounded. Outside, the pump stood still. No sign of her or any vehicle. Had she walked here? In the middle of nowhere? I checked the cameras. Nothing but static. My phone, useless without signal, sat dead on the counter. I forced myself to breathe, counting the register to ground myself. Under the cash tray, I found something odd. A small folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. I unfolded it to reveal a sketch, a crude drawing of a crab, its claws raised, surrounded by symbols I didn't recognize. Below it, in faded ink, Tide's Offering, 1987. The radio crackled, switching to a shanty I hadn't heard before, its melody dissonant, unsettling. I tucked the paper into my pocket, my skin crawling. The ocean outside seemed louder, its rhythm syncing with my pulse. I checked the time, 2:30 a.m. Things shift. At 2:47 a.m., the payphone rang. The sound was sharp, piercing, cutting through the radio's hum. I froze. The bag of chips I'd been restocking slipping from my hand. The phone shouldn't work. Mora had said so. Yet it rang, each trill vibrating the air. I approached it, the rules screaming in my head. Never answer the payphone. But curiosity, or something deeper, pulled me forward. The receiver was cold, heavier than it should have been. I lifted it to my ear. Static, thick and buzzing filled the line. Then a voice. Male, hold, speaking as if from underwater. They're watching you, Eli. The pumps aren't what you think. Who's this? I demanded, my voice shaking. They take what's offered. Ask Mora about her son. The line crackled, the voice shifting to a child's, high and mocking. Eli Carver stole a boat. Eli Carver broke the law. Eli Carver let his sister fall. I slammed the receiver down, my hands trembling. No one knew about the boat. Not here, not in this nowhere town. I'd stolen it years ago to pay off Lena's medical debts. A desperate act that landed me 6 months in county. The phone rang again, relentless. I backed away, retreating to the booth, locking the door behind me. The ringing stopped after 10 calls, the silence heavier than before. Outside, the pump lights flickered. A shadow moved across the lot, too fast, too fluid, disappearing behind pump 3. I rubbed my eyes, blaming fatigue, but my gut knew better. I'd seen something. My phone buzzed. A text from Lena. Impossible, with no signal. Dreamed of Mom. She was in the ocean, calling your name. Said you're in danger. Be careful, Eli. Our mother had drowned when I was 10. Swept away in a riptide. I hadn't told Lena about the boat, about the guilt that still choked me. My phone died before I could reply. Its battery drained. At 3:10 a.m., I noticed it. A dark, viscous liquid seeping from pump 3, pooling on the concrete. Not gas. Something thicker, blacker, like ink mixed with blood. Mora's second rule hit me. I locked the booth, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the radio. Track 4 was a chant, low and guttural, in a language I didn't know. Chinook, maybe. The voice was ancient, layered with a sound like waves breaking on bone. I watched through the window as the liquid pulsed, moving against gravity, retreating into the pump as the chant played. When it stopped, the pool was gone, the concrete clean. I sat back, heart racing. What was this place? The sketch in my pocket felt heavier, its edges sharp against my thigh. I didn't sleep, didn't move, until dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of grey and gold. Moira struck pulled in at 6 a.m., her face unreadable as she unlocked the booth. "How was it?" she asked, her eyes scanning me. "Quiet," I lied. "Couple of customers, no trouble." She nodded, but her gaze lingered on my pocket, where the sketch was hidden. "Count the till, then you're free to go." As we counted, I debated mentioning the phone, the liquid, the woman with pale eyes. Instead, I pulled out the sketch. "Found this in the register." "What's Tide's offering?" Moira's hand froze, then took the paper. "Old doodle," she said, her voice too casual. "Local kids messing around, probably. Keep it if you want." She handed me an envelope, 100 cash. "First night bonus. Helps keep folks coming back." I pocketed the money, thinking of Lena's bills. "See you tonight," I said, but her question as I left stopped me cold. "Check the bathroom mirror last night? See anything odd?" I frowned. "Should I have?" She shook her head. "Just the lights. They flicker sometimes. Play tricks." But her eyes said she knew more. The next 6 nights were a descent into madness. Each shift brought new strangeness. Customers with pale eyes who knew my name, shadows that moved without bodies, the payphone ringing with voices that spoke of my past, my mother's death, the stolen boat, Lena's illness. The pumps leaked that black liquid twice more, and each time, Track 4 drove it back. I found another sketch, this one showing a figure chained to a pump, its face blurred but unmistakably human. The caption read, "Keeper's Price, 1995. Lena's texts grew stranger, always about dreams of our mother in the ocean, warning me to leave. My phone died after each one, despite being charged. I stopped sleeping, my dreams filled with waves and pale eyes watching from the depths. I searched online for local legends, finding whispers of Tse'łka, Chinook spirits tied to the sea, shapeshifters who fed on life force in liminal places like Tide's End. The station, built on an old burial ground, was said to be a gateway, its pumps conduits for something ancient and hungry. On the 7th night, my last shift, the air felt electric, heavy, with the promise of a storm. Moira was waiting when I arrived, her truck parked by Pump 1. The neon crab was dark, the station's lights dim, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe. The bell didn't ring as I entered, and the store was silent. No radio, no hum of coolers. "Moira," I called, my voice echoing. "In back?" She replied, her tone stretched, unnatural. The stockroom door was open, a sliver of darkness beyond. The smell hit me, salt and blood, like a gutted fish left to rot. I pushed the door open. Moira stood over a table, her hands working something I couldn't see. Her braid was loose, her hair longer, wilder than before. "Everything okay?" I asked, my stomach twisting. She turned, her face the same, but her eyes wrong. Hungry, gleaming with something not human. "Right on time, Eli," she said, her voice her own again. "You've done well. Better than the others. What's going on?" I stepped back, my hand tightening on my duffel. "No customers tonight," she said, wiping her hands on a rag that left dark streaks. "Just us." On the table was a clay figurine, a crab, its claws etched with symbols like those on the sketches. Beside it, a knife, its blade coated in something black. "What is that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "An anchor," Moira said, "and an offering." She moved faster than I thought possible, grabbing my arm with a grip like steel. "You're perfect, Eli, strong, stubborn." The others broke too easily. I yanked free, stumbling back. "What the hell are you talking about?" She advanced, her eyes glinting. "The 7th night. Feeding time." She lunged, dragging me toward a back door I'd never noticed. It opened not to the lot, but to a rocky beach. Waves crashing under a moonless sky. Impossible. The store backed onto a cliff, not open shore. This isn't real. I gasped, struggling as she pulled me forward. Realer than you know, Mora said. The beach was ringed by jagged rocks, and in its center stood 4 pumps, their metal casings gone, revealing bone-like pillars carved with symbols. The air hummed, alive with a wrongness that made my skin crawl. What are these? I demanded, fear choking me. The true Tide's End, Mora said. Older than the station, older than me. The pumps don't sell gas, Eli. They take life, siphon it from those who stop here. Keep the Tse'łka fed, keep them sleeping. A sound rose, low, keening. Not a wave, but something alive, mimicking the ocean's call. Shadows moved beyond the rocks, their shapes wrong, fluid. Tse'łka, I whispered, the legends flooding back. Sea spirits. Mora nodded, producing a chain from her pocket. My families kept them, fed for generations. Small offerings, traveler's essence taken through the pumps. But the world's changed. Fewer stop here. The Tse'łka are waking and they're hungry. She began chaining my wrist to a pump, the bone cold and burning. Why me? I spat, pulling against the chains. You're strong, she said, almost sadly. Your sister was too sick. Her life force too weak. But you? Your guilt, your fight. It's what they want. You considered Lena. My blood ran cold. She applied first, Mora said. But the Tse'łka chose you. The keening grew louder, shadows circling closer, their pale eyes glowing like bioluminescent algae. I was trapped, chained to a pump that pulsed with hunger. Mora stepped back, her face a mix of pity and resolve. I'm sorry, Eli. Your sacrifice saves others. She retreated to the door, which slammed shut, leaving me alone with the Tse'łka. Their forms solidified. Human-like but wrong, limbs too long, faces shifting like water. I remembered the sketches, the phone calls, the chant, and I remembered my ace. The lighter in my duffel, a habit from my fishing days. I fumbled with the chain, my fingers finding the duffel's zipper. The lighter was there along with a can of WD-40 I'd brought for a squeaky hinge. The Tse'łka approached, their eyes locked on me. I sprayed the WD-40 at the nearest pump, flicked the lighter, and a jet of flame erupted, catching the bone pillar. It burned, unnaturally bright, blue-white flames licking upward. The Tse'łka screamed, a sound like drowning, and retreated. I sprayed again, igniting the other pumps. The flame spread, consuming the bone, the symbols glowing before crumbling to ash. The clay figurine in my pocket grew hot, vibrating. I threw it into the fire, and the flames roared higher, a pillar of light piercing the sky. The Tse'łka dissolved, their screams fading as their forms turned to mist. The beach vanished, and I was back in the lot, the station burning, pumps exploding in a cascade of fire and bone. I ran to my truck, driving east as the inferno lit the night. By morning, Tide's End was ash, the Tse'łka gone, their anchor destroyed. Lena was waiting when I got home, her eyes clear, her strength returning. I told her a half-truth, a fire, an accident, a fresh start. We left for Seattle, the ocean shrinking in my rearview mirror. The radio played a soft melody. Not a chant, but something peaceful. For the first time, I didn't look back.